but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life feels lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me. It's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds. And when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome in to the Svenska eRacingligan here on Sim Racing Media. My name is James Riders, and with me in the booth is Liam. Liam, how are we doing today?
Fantastic. Super excited to be up in the booth with you once again, James. It's been quite some time since we've shared a booth together, but we've got ourselves some fantastic racing action at one of the most toughest technical courses these guys are going to run on all year, the Indianapolis road course.
Absolutely, as drivers already taking their pace laps. Let's go ahead and take a look at what we've got going on here today. The Trygghetpånätet Grand Prix at Indianapolis Motor Speedway here today. 27 degrees Celsius, 36% humidity, 14-kilometer wind. So these Delaras are going to have a fun time. And about what we had yesterday or last week, the AMRT Grand Prix, the longest endurance race of the season, and it was a test of attrition that was expected to be there around the rough surface of Sebring. Jesper Eriksson took the win after starting on pole, needing 60 of the 65 laps, as well as Blomqvist came home in second, and Daniel Holmer filled the podium in third. So quite a healthy lead in standing, 72 points over Linus Broström as we begin the second half of the season here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. As we've been told a little bit about who to expect to win, I think you saw a little bit. He's actually on the course right now. Jesper Eriksson. Tell me about what you saw in practice and what this guy was able to do.
Well, you mentioned it. It showed on the graphic. Jesper was able to dominate. Dominate last week, leading 60 to 65 laps. Really didn't look back from the drop of the green flag. And yeah, he put down 1 lap in practice at the end, goes to the top of the board. And this track, it's not super similar to Sebring, but it is another flat course in the infield. It gets to be a bit abrasive. So I would definitely look for Jesper to be strong here today at Indianapolis.
Absolutely. Right now, everybody just trying to take their laps around the track here at Indianapolis. We'll go ahead and put that timing tower up for you, tell you where everybody is right this moment, but it looks like it's going to take its time. Of course, we are brought to you by, and I had this name going for me earlier, and I absolutely forgot it. It was
Trygghetpånätet.
Yeah, there we go.
Trygghetpånätet.
Yeah. But if you are in Sweden, I know a lot of our fan base is over there. This place is a website for parents who want to keep up with today's digital culture and with what their children are doing online. So you can find it difficult to keep up. So this basically for us in the States is safety on the net, and that's the website that wants to bridge those two worlds. So it's something that Alexander Nilsson, he works on in his spare time because he feels there's a need to have pretty much bridge that gap and try and keep the internet safe for children online, and that's something that's very important. So check that out. Of course, we will have more of a better link for you guys in the future, but right now, hey, that's a good place to go. So Jesper Eriksson, we talked about it already, on top of the leaderboard, going to be out on his own right now. Other drivers on the field, Daniel Blomqvist there with a 118.02. Alexander Olsen currently in 3rd place.
Now, just a couple of things I want to bring up here while we're qualifying. There are a couple of off-track spots that don't necessarily correlate with the grass. The first one that we'll talk about is that turn 1 area right up into the hard braking zone. You can't go over that curb on the inside. That'll net you a penalty. And then again, on the chicane entering the backstretch, you got to stay within those curbs. At the end of that back straightaway. And then once again, through these tight infield sections, we've got a few more. We're watching Alexander Olsen come across the finish line to complete his lap. He jumps up to 3rd place, now 4th place. Michael Haflidasen in 2nd now.
So Linus is about to show us through on his place, on his out lap. Why don't you walk us through this as we're going to go on board. They're on the nose here. Kind of tell us what you mean by these turns.
Yeah, absolutely. Sitting on the nose here with Linus. Going to go into a hard braking zone. Figure out where he gets hard on it there. But with that curb right there on the right, you can't jump over that. That's going to net you a penalty. You get a couple more corners where the grass penalizes you enough. That gravel on the left side. Now coming through here into this next chicane, that's going to be the second added in off-track rule. Right there on the right, you can't hop over that curb too much for speed, otherwise you'll find yourself with another off-track penalty. Coming down up into turn number 7 here, hard on the brakes once again. Another curb you can't jump over on the left. You see Linus doing a great job of just flipping it without upsetting that car. Through a couple more rights and lefts, back to the right. That's another turn there that you can't overcut, getting back onto this section. And we're going to have 2 more getting down up into this area here. Or no, maybe it's just that one on turn 12, getting down into the entrance. And coming out of the infield of turn 1 section back onto the start-finish line. That's a lap with Linus Broström with off-track commentary.
Yeah, there you go. And it's see where he's going to line out there with a 119. Going to be in 10th, so a top 10 there. As if you guys are over watching on the Svenska eRacingligan Twitch, we appreciate you there. If you're on our YouTube, we appreciate that out of you as well. You are always welcome to chat with us. Make sure we can understand it. Unfortunately, if you haven't been able to tell already, folks, we don't speak Swedish. So that was a bold move by the mod team. They said, hey, we want an American broadcaster. We're going to bring them in, let them make a fool of themselves. And boy, howdy do we. As Michael Hafladison going to be coming in with the fastest time, 1:17.787. Well, what is it? 7:34. So already I can tell a couple of the 1:17s in within a tenth of a second. You're starting to see these groups kind of form, as you can see on the left side of your screen there, kind of where these guys are going to line out. And it's really going to affect as this race wears on. This is 100 laps, or I'm sorry, 100 minutes, and it's going to take determination. There's not going to be any cautions here, so you got to get in there and be consistent.
Yeah, these guys running endurance races. You mentioned last week the strongest or longest race with, or not last week, but Sebring, and that's one of the toughest courses these guys can get to. This it's super tight. 100 minutes is a long time, especially for these e-racers. They don't get to have driver swaps in here either, so it's not quite the sprint that you'll see these IMSA guys having with 100 minutes. It's going to take time. It's going to be some attrition, and you might see some late race mistakes cost some of these guys a couple positions towards the end.
Yeah, absolutely. As we take a look at some of the important details that we're going to put down at the bottom of the screen. First off, fuel. Fuel run is going to be around 50 laps. So expect this. It's a minute, about a minute 20 average.
I don't know about 50 laps. They said 50 liters was what they're starting with. And the tank can hold 70 or 75. So Linus said to expect a 2-stop race. I don't know if we'll get 50 laps on a tank of gas, especially this first time. But
yeah, I think they said it was going to be. Oh, that was the wrong one. Jeez Louise. Yep.
yeah, they've got
You're correct.
50 liters to start with. Two-stopper here.
Probably about 30 laps, you think? 20 to 30.
Yeah, roughly there, 30-ish that first time, and then maybe you can go 40 the second. That's the wrong way, Linus.
Is he?
He's giving those fans in Indy Turn 3 a show, letting them see some cars at speed, rocking 175 miles an hour now down the back straightaway. Very nice of him to give the fans an extra show down the back. They paid a lot for those seats. Just to not be able to see over the golf course.
There you go. Too much fun. Drivers out here having fun. But again, folks, be sure to hit that like button if you're over on our YouTube. If you're not, if you're on the Twitch, we appreciate you over there as well. This is race 4 of 6. And I just absolutely love what these guys are doing. Just coming in here, giving a good show. As we're going to start here in what, about 5 minutes there, Liam? 4 minutes? Let me see.
Got a couple minutes left here in qualifying. And now we're going to get ready to grid up here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. See that beautiful shot of the pagoda there before we catch these cars gridding up. There's a couple of guys who don't like to see the pagoda, NASCAR Chasm being one of them. But I think that pagoda is one of the most beautiful things about Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And now we're going to go ahead and get your grid up rolling for you. In first place. Go ahead. All right, yeah. First place, we got Michael Hafladison taking away pole from Jesper Eriksson. And we've got Daniel Blomqvist in third, Alexander Olsen fourth, Daniel Holmer fifth, Melvin Atkinson in sixth, Lucas Holmerin and Philip Bjork round out our first 4 rows. We've got Philip Axelson, Linus Broström, Simon Green, Christopher Dahlstrand, Marcus Stiller, Pontus Nordgren, Fleety Johnson, Victor Hammerstrom, Bjorn Broström, and Sebastian Magnussen. I believe he's going to round out the field here. I don't think he's race control.
Yeah, so far not up there, but you're going to get one pace lap here around the field. Get those tires warmed up, get them ready to go as they're going to get ready for this race at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Backwards here, if you're used to watching us at NASCAR, we sure are excited to be able to play this race for you. As we're just waiting on a couple more drivers to grid up and get in here.
So James, before we get started here, I want to ask, what is something that you're looking for on this first lap here?
Yeah, so the first lap, you've got so much time. You have 100 minutes. It's about an hour and a half to race this race. You do not want to go out here and overdo it on the first lap. You're conditioned to think, get to the front at all costs. But if you can save some of those tires on that first little run, you're going to make that speed up throughout the run. You don't want to go out there and be absolutely wild trying to make something happen here. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for some of these fast drivers up front. They're gonna get away from you no matter what. But if you can settle into where you need to be and start running consistent laps, that's gonna be the goal.
I don't think I could have put it any better myself, to be honest. The other thing that I'm concerned about on this first lap, and we're going to bring it up every single week that we run a road course in any league, that first corner. That braking zone is going to be tough on these guys, and they're not going in at speed, so it's going to be a little bit different of a braking spot. You might see some guys going for an extra position or two on these on this initial start. Might wind up in trouble, but we might see some of the most exciting moves of the race right there into turn number 1.
Absolutely. We'll keep everybody up to date on what is happening, what passes have been made as we go through, because this isn't what we're used to either. I know that I've got a bunch of road courses I'm going to have to do with NASCAR being in COTA, but these road courses are a totally different beast for everybody here. I don't know what that's doing, but yeah, it's gonna be very fun to see how these drivers react as we see those drivers getting those tires ready. A lot of blue teammates there getting ready to go. Those that's make sure I get that team up there.
It's like Blomqvist, Atkinson, Holmer, and Bjork all rocking that same blue scheme, and very convenient for us that they're all starting right next to each other. So we'll probably butcher a couple of names getting down into turn 1, but this team is absolutely on the same page, starting in rows 2 and 3. Look for these guys to try to be strong and maybe work together a little bit more than we see some of these other guys out on the racetrack. As much as you can here in a road race.
Right, and that's Bright Esports is what these guys are rocking right now, and they're up there, they're ready to go. It's a couple other drivers through here. Let's go ahead and put up, make sure what the heck is going on with the teams here. There we go, Forza Esports showing up. AM Racing team. But the pace car is going to come off, flag in the air. We are about to go racing here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Clausen going to lead him down on the inside. He's got Jesper Eriksson to his outside. This guy's waiting on that green flag to drop. And we are waiting for him to gas it up as there they go. Green flag is out. We're racing at Indianapolis Motor Speedway and already 3 wide for 4th place. 3 wide further back for 7th as well. Let's see this first dive into turn 1 and a huge move on the outside by Eriksson. Not going to be enough. He's going to try a bit of a crossover going back. Everybody seems to make it through turn 1 okay. A little bit more of a switcheroo for the lead and side by side for 4th and 6th. As here comes the 44 of Philip Bjork trying to take advantage of the 71 Linus Broström. Still side by side right in front of these guys with Atkinson and Holmer. Now these guys get through okay, and now the 44 makes a move on the right side of the 79. He's going to complete that pass down the back straightaway.
Gonna have a lot of time here to make these moves as they work it inside. And if these road courses, if you're used to watching this, if you're catching this on your lunch break and you're used to watching NASCAR races, the thing that's different about these is you got to wait for your opportunity. If you're faster than the guy in front of you, you've got to wait for them to make a mistake, because it is all about defending here. Michael Hafladison has got to keep that inside line, that much tighter line, to keep Jesper there from getting underneath him. And that's what you're going to see a lot.
Oh, Jesper makes a mistake. Jesper got a little bit loose there coming up off the corner, might have touched the grass. Lost some time there to Hafladison, and now he's going to be defending from Alexander Olsen coming down the front straightaway.
Yeah, as Blomqvist there is the one under attacking Jesper. His works down turn one, already one lap completed. Where we are here.
100 seconds have been completed, so we're 1% of the way through the race. Pontus Nordgren has had some sort of off-track or incident. He seems to be stopped on the racetrack in 18th position right now. We'll get you updated on what's gone on with him. Might have just been a simple spin off the track, but take a look at that 087 getting down into turn one. Looks like the 62 peaked down to the inside, but nope, just a little bit too much speed and carries the oversteer. Unfortunately, Nordgren's going to lose that car and have to recover here. But if you're going to make a mistake, now's the best time to do it. You've still got 98 minutes left in this race, and 98 minutes to recover. You try a different pit strategy. You just run some easy laps, save your tires. Not out of this thing in terms of positions yet. You watch Victor Hammerstrom defending from Haflida Johansson. Guys getting a bit of separation between each and every one of them now, about half a second to a second, separating most of these guys as they've gotten through a couple of laps. Now they're settling into this 100-minute endurance race. Hard on the brakes into turn one for Victor right there. Everybody's super easy on those corners, not really trying to attack. I wonder if that's just because of the height of them. Definitely upset the car going up over them. Last thing these guys want to do is spin, as there was a spin just off in front. Lucas Holmer was off in the gravel. Tough start for that 21 machine.
Yeah, started in P7 it looks like, and just kind of came off. Let's take a look at what we say.
Not entirely sure what caused him to lose the car, but using up all the racetrack there and gets sideways, goes into the gravel. Luckily for him, he's able to get it out, keep rolling, but he's going to fall into last place as Pontus Nordgren gets around him. Michael Hafladison still leads over Jesper Eriksson and Daniel Blomqvist in a tight third place. That 37 is kind of chasing down the 81 a bit, showing up that speed that he had last time around at Sebring.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the good part about it. If you're that second place car right now, we see Jesper there from Forza Esports. He's kind of chasing out Michael Hafladison. He can make more mistakes. He can play a little bit more of an aggressive line, just because we're going to have these long straights. These long straights at these rovals give you the opportunity to use that draft to catch up to the driver you're attacking and really try and test out your line, test out your pass, apply that pressure when you need to, and then back off and keep letting him mistake. You don't have to stay right on his back bumper. You don't want to apply that pressure too early. It's going to cost you a lot in terms of tire wear, just because if you get too close to these cars and you run them nose to tail, you hurt yourself because you're taking that downforce off of the front of your vehicle and kind of upsetting it. So you'll see these guys kind of run half a second off, not trying to get right up on each other for that reason as well.
Yeah, that reason. I mean, plus you saw how much time that Jesper Eriksson lost on that first lap, touching the grass, getting a little bit loose. You see Hafladison touching the grass there too. That causes him to slide just a bit. But you saw how much time that the 37 lost. The 81 makes a mistake similar to that. That's going to give Jesper the chance to get down, make a move, whether it's on a straightaway or he has to outbrake him into a corner. That's exactly what that Jesper car is looking for this early on in the race. Not to necessarily get out there and race him hard for this, but to just stay close enough, maybe force him into a mistake. But either way, just stay close enough to that leader so that you know later on in this race what you're racing against.
Absolutely, and that's, again, this is a learning, it's a learning experience. Every lap out there is a time where you want to take everything in, learn about the driver in front of you, learn about the drivers behind you, because you are not going to be able to pull away from folks as much as you think. You are not safe here, even with a 2-second gap. Anything can happen. If these two drivers decide to get into each other, something happens. That's something that we're going to see a lot more of as this race plays on here on lap 6, as he's giving him the flashers. Look at Jesper getting a little cheeky move there, looking at those, looking back at, or looking up at Michael, letting him know he's there.
I tell you what, I think this might be the lap for Jesper. These guys both are pushing it really hard in the infield turn 1 section, but that's the second lap in a row that I've seen Michael touch the grass coming in on turn number 2. Just after that hard turn 1 right-hander, he's gotten in, touched the grass on apex for turn 2. Plus the flashers, I think Jesper's definitely pressuring that 81 machine. It'll be interesting to see through this next complex of corners through the infield of turn 1 for the oval track. What kind of pressure is put on? Which one of these guys is going to slip? Last time it was the 37. This time, or the time after. Sorry, last lap it was the 81. The time before it was the 37. He's right above the bumper.
Oh.
Now he's going to try to cross him over. Goes for a wide entry. Tries to cut back to the inside. Excellent defense there out of the 81 of Haflidasen. But the 37, Jesper Eriksson, is right there. He's going to have a toe, and he's going to have a chance to make a move down into turn number 1. Here he comes with the toe. Here he's going to look to the left, or rather look to the right, side by side down into turn number 1. Who's going to come through?
Wow. And there it was, made the pass. If you were watching live, we got to follow that on board with our rotating camera there. I know Liam was probably pretty confused, but Jesper Eriksson's going to take over for that number 1 position. That's not the only pass that's happening on the field here. Daniel Holmer in a similar position with Philip Bjork. He's trying to get up there and make the pass, and now the spotters are saying, hey, we saw it happen. If you want to do it, get ready for the front stretch, because that's about where we're going to see it.
We've had another incident with Lucas Holmeren, Pontus Nordgren, and Sebastian Magnussen has also seemed to have had an incident. We'll get you guys updated on what happened with that as we continue on with this excellent battle between Holmer and Bjork, racing for 6th place, and only about 2 car lengths separate these guys. We saw how the gap was able to close down in the race for the lead up in this section of corners here. See that 79 getting right up to the back bumper within a car length now. Stays right in the tire tracks through that hard left-hander, though, coming back into the right-hander to get back onto the oval track. Looks like he's going to have a little bit of a toe. Stays close. He's not as close as the race for the lead was, but he's got himself a nice run. We'll see if he pokes down to the right side. Staying in line, looks down to the right side now, is getting to about his door. He's going to have the braking zone, the entry into the corner, and that's quite a textbook pass out of the 79, Daniel Holmer. Bjork got a little bit loose, trying to keep it under power to stay with the 79. He's going to lose a little bit of time. Not much, though. We'll see if he's able to get back in and try to retake that 6th position. As mentioned to us before the race, these guys are all on a fixed setup. So tire pressures, stuff like that, that's going to be all the same as you see. Oh, and going wide there was Daniel Holmer. Almost lost the car, nosed it into the fence. Excellent recovery for that Bright Esports machine. Man, that was a moment.
Yeah, a lot of drivers in here. You know, these things are hard to gather up. They're meant to, they're not meant to get loose. So once they do, it doesn't take much for them to go around. You know, they're really nailed down as long as there's traction, but the moment you lose traction in these things, they'll go around. As we take a look back up front, look at those Bright Esports guys trying to catch up. 2 seconds back right now from your leader, Jesper Eriksson, with the Force Esports Academy. Michael Vladison, a former teammate, or not former teammate, a teammate up there. So right now it's Force versus Bright. I don't know why it has all these guys as Force Esports. That's not true. What the heck? There we go. I don't know what that was doing. Let me double check something. Make sure. Okay, so Michael Vladison's with the AM Racing team. Jesper's with Force. There we go. We got that fixed, folks. That was a little glitch going on. But
just going back and looking at those incidents that I had mentioned earlier, Sebastian Magnussen locked it up a little bit into turn number 1, got a bit sideways, touched the grass. And then Lucas Holmeren and Pontus Nordgren locked it up, got it together, didn't end up hitting, but locked it up in the same corner. Both of those incidents were just a couple of quick offs. Nothing major, and we continue on. This battle for the lead is also continuing on. We saw a couple of different corner entry strategies there out of these two leaders. Jesper got in a little bit easier and had a better exit to the corner, whereas Hafladassen went in super deep, sacrificed his exit. It seems like on this longer technical section of the course that's benefiting Jesper. He's now opened up about a 1.2 second lead over Hafladassen, your pole sitter. And these two guys, they were slated at the beginning of the show to be kind of the cream of the crop for this race. Definitely showing their pace, but let's not leave out those Bright Esports guys, as Daniel Blomqvist sits in third, Olsen, Akison, and Holmer all in line, running 3rd through 6th.
Yeah, so let's take a look at our points, where everyone's at right now. Make sure we get that put away there. Okay, Bright Esports is the team. They're doing the most. 487 points coming into this race. Force Esports not too far behind, 445, and Bright, and etc., all the way down to Bright Esports by picked last. A couple different teams here. And then take a look at our Drivers' Championship, where they are. Daniel Holmer there in first place with 257, with Alexander Olsen, Jonas Gunnarsson, Melvin Akassen, and Linus Broström there in third.
Name I don't see up on that list, though, Jesper Eriksson.
Yeah, very interesting. I don't know.
Might have showed up a little bit late in this season. Yeah, he's listed as 0 points. That's obviously well, we might have to get back on that. He might not be claimed for points. Otherwise, that might just not be as updated after the last race, because obviously Jesper won that one. Sits in the race lead right now by about 1.7. Daniel Blomqvist has been just a touch quicker this last time around, getting within that 4-second bracket down to about 3.8, 3.7 now as we look at our live intervals there on the left side. See team names up there too. Bright Esports, 3rd through 6th right now. Those guys having a phenomenal day. Force Esports Academy out front, though.
As right now, everybody's kind of loosened up. Gonna try and here we go. Yep. Everybody's kind of stretched out. They know what they've got to do. We've got Jesper Eriksson there in first. Second place gonna be Michael Vladison. He is about a second and a half back, so falling back here, maybe trying to hold off Jesper in the beginning, kind of wore him out a little bit more than we'd like to think. Daniel Blomqvist as well is down from where he started. Alexander Olsen there in 4th. Melvin Akassen there in 5th. Daniel Holmer, our points leader right now, is in 6th position. Philip York in 7th. Linus Broström in 8th. Philip Asselson in 9th. And Marcus Stiller falling back to 10th. Simon Green there in 11th, as well as Victor Hammerstrom, up 4 positions so far. He's our biggest gainer of the race right now, trying to work through from a not a great qualifying run. Christopher Dahlström is going to be in 13th. Hafladi Johansson in 14th, Sebastian Magnussen, and Bjorn. I don't know why it's messing up the teams here. And Lucas Holmer in there in 17th, and Pontus Nordgren, they're bringing it up in the rear. So with that being said, folks, we're gonna go ahead and run to our first commercial break of the race here on lap 13. 16 minutes in of 140. Stick around, we'll be right back.
Hej och välkommen till Trygghet på nätet. På den här hemsidan så vill jag möta upp alla som känner sig lite vilsna digitalt. Mitt mål är att vi vuxna ska förstå barnens skärmtid, men också hur vi kan leva med det. Tillsammans med er ökar vi kunskapen och säkerheten på nätet för våra barn. Det kan finnas en känsla att vi generationer emellan varandra inte hänger med. Men du som vuxen vill stötta och förstå. Mitt mål med den här hemsidan är att minska klyftan mellan den vuxna världen och den yngre generationen. Här har jag delat upp hemsidan i olika delar. Det kommer finnas information på ett sätt som är enkelt och förståeligt. Välkommen igen till Trygghet på nätet.
we are back here on lap 17. 21 minutes down, about an hour and 20 to go. And everybody kind of lining out into what they need to be doing. Closest battle on the track right now, Daniel Holmer trying to catch the teammate of Melvin Akasson. All these drivers, Bright Esports, they are trying to get in there and pretty much good points day for them, more or less.
Yeah, definitely these guys setting up for a good points day, sitting 3rd through 6th. Definitely good in terms of the Constructors' Championship, the Team Championship. And while they've lost a little bit of time to your race leader, they're still kind of gaining on Michael Hafadassin, so the more points might be in store for the Bright Esports League.
Absolutely, as you can see right there, just a pretty good gap there. There's a couple different teams. They you know, you can only have four teams per race. But speaking of teams, Liam, I don't know if you've seen this or not, but we have an absolutely just a fun thing I'm excited about here on Sim Racing Media. We are doing every Thursday. I think we got a penalty. We're not going to be here this Thursday. Our guy that does it is going to be out. But we do a F1 Manager 2022 league that we kind of bring in you as the audience. You can get involved, come in there and just help us manage this team. It's a simulation. It's a lot of fun, a lot of viewer interaction. You can check that out Thursdays about 8 p.m. or 7 p.m. Central is when we do that. But it's a lot of fun, Liam. I had a lot of fun watching them last week, interacting in the crowd, and I'm sure you will too if you decide to come in and see it.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely want to come in and join us for that. It is action-packed, and yeah, we love to hang out with you guys. You guys get to have a little bit of a say in what goes on. While we were talking a bit about that, we saw Haflidi Johansson going off track into the pit lane. He had himself a little bit of an incident earlier while we were on break. Go ahead and bring that up right here as he's working through turns 4, 5, and 6 section here. My thing might be a little bit wrong, but
yeah, just getting bent out of shape, and some of these drivers are going to do that. You come to these LMP2s, it's hard to get in here and run these things right. Unfortunately, that's why the pros do it. But come out here and have a good points day. Lucky that these guys are showing up regardless. It really shows the character of these drivers coming in here. And Indianapolis is not an easy track. One of the oldest courses we have around here, but definitely it's not easy. A lot of 90 degrees, a lot of very technical turns, really just stacked in a row. It's not like a Coda or a Sonoma where they have some just really fun sections. Stop me if I'm wrong here, Liam, but Indianapolis is just technical. Not really any high-speed fun other than the straightaways. Other than that, it's these tight turns followed by a straightaway, tight turn, straightaway, and it's a lot of work on these drivers here.
It certainly is. I mean, there's a lot of switchbacks. You saw the ones these guys just went through before they got onto the backstretch. They're going to go into a really hard left-hander here, one of those 90-degree ones you were talking about, and enter into another quick switchback section. It's all rhythm here, and if you're getting in dirty air, it's tougher to keep that rhythm. Now you get back into this harder right-hand section. You're able to open up the wheel a bit more and get up onto the gas, but like you said, there's just not a lot of time to get that speed up and outbrake somebody. You've really got to try to set the pass up over the course of a lap or two, like we saw Jesper Eriksson do for the race lead over Michael Hafadassin. You definitely find yourself in some spots where you can get a toe and try to outbrake somebody. But like you said, this is a super technical course. There's a lot of switchbacks, a lot of 90-degree turns that really make it tough on these guys, especially racing around each other.
Yeah, for sure. As we take a look at Jesper Eriksson, we saw in practice. Let's go ahead and take a look at these results from practice, just because it did blow my mind. You brought it up as it was happening. as we bring these up here. Jesper Eriksson in practice. Look at that 117. That was one lap. He just pulled out, did the lap, dropped the mic, and walked off. And we're kind of seeing that right now. Not too much fall off on that machine. But Daniel Blomqvist was the second place finisher. So we know that he has the speed to get there, but just not running as well right now as Pontus Norgrim has.
And here comes the 37 into the pits. I wonder if that was his choice there, or if he just decided with the lap car in his way, this is a good time to do it. We mentioned it was going to be a two-stopper. 27 minutes into the race now, coming in for the first stop. Remember, 50 liters of fuel is what these guys started on, but they can go up to 70 in the pits, just to guarantee a little bit of extra strategy. Yeah, everybody's coming in. We got Blomqvist, we've got Olsen, Atkinson, Daniel Holmer stays out to lead for a little while. 5 of the top 6 come in. Now Philip York comes in as well. A lot of guys deciding that this first time for pit stops is the way to go.
Which is wild because they were not, the tire fall off was not bad at all there. Probably half a second on a minute and 20-second lap. That's we're talking percentage points, but maybe just fuel or trying to come in there and catch them sleeping. But nobody caught. When you're 5 seconds ahead, your team's going to tell you that folks are coming in. But Daniel Holmer going to come out and lead it, but he is all on his own. He has broken up the Bright Esports drivers. Linus Broström as well. Philip Axelsen stays out. Christopher Dahlstrand and Lucas Holmeren stays out. Everybody else is elected to come in. See if anybody's going to make any speed up in the pits.
I don't know. I think it'll be tough to gain on that 37. He was absolutely flawless on entry. It looks to be a good exit so far. We'll keep an eye on that outlap, but Jesper Eriksson on fire into the pits and absolutely phenomenal getting off. He's going to retain his lead. And like you mentioned, not a whole heck of a lot of fall off for him. Some of these guys were seeing upwards of almost a second from their fastest laps to their last laps, but only about a half a second there for Jesper Eriksson. That's the sign of a good handling race car, or just a really good guy behind the wheel. Definitely seems to be falling into the style of race that Jesper likes. But Michael Hafledassen sitting 5.5 seconds or so back. His fastest lap is only 1/100th of a second off of Jesper's. We'll see if maybe this second set of sticker tires, I believe they're Bridgestone in this series. See if that extra set can help him gain some time down on your race leader now, as Jesper Eriksson gets back into the race lead, locks it up down into turn number 1 on cold tires. That's the first time on this set he's been getting down in there. That's going to bring Hafledassen a bit closer, gains from about half a second just in that one mistake. Might not be good for the tires there on the 37 machine either. iRacing doesn't quite do flat spots as well as real life does, but it's definitely going to put a bit of extra wear on a crucial time on those tires as he's getting out in his first couple laps.
Absolutely. Let's see the driver, Philip York.
Yeah, he's just had it off.
Probably something very simple or very similar to what we just saw. Let's take a look here on lap 23. Yep.
One thing that I would like to note, no major damage on any car yet. So
yeah, it goes
so
around.
Easy to just carry too much speed up into turn number 1. You get that oversteer, maybe it upsets the car touching the curb. But like you mentioned earlier, these things don't have the slip angle that, say, an older NASCAR Cup car does, for maybe some of the viewers that are more used to watching us do oval racing. These things don't have the sidewall that those cars did, and therefore the slip angle is a lot less. You get a little bit out of shape, and it is really tough to correct.
Yeah, they're designed to go where those tires are pointed. That is pretty much their...
Oh, there's an off. right there with Philip York.
They're designed to go where those tires are pointed. So if those tires are pointed to the infield wall because you goosed her a little bit too much, that's unfortunately where she's going. Haven't checked in on YouTube in a while, but I do appreciate everybody that's watching over on the Twitch stream that they've got going on over there. Appreciate that. Appreciate everybody that is over on the YouTube. You can hit that like button. We do appreciate it. Go ahead and let's,
I believe Linus has just had himself an off.
let's take a look, shall we? Get over on the right thing there. Let's take a look on lap 24 for Linus. Same place. It's going to be the same place. Oof.
Ooh, a little bit more rear brake on that one there.
Maybe did not have his rear brake adjusted. That's he got the one. He has a downshift issue.
Yeah.
Locked
So a little
up.
bit of wheel hop getting down into turn number 1.
As Philip Axelson just gave his spot back to Philip York.
Yeah, he had himself an off too. This is definitely where you're going to start seeing guys make mistakes. They don't have people as a point of reference in front of them. Looks like he's just going to touch the grass there a bit, spin her out.
Ooh.
Almost comes back down in front of that driver there, Philip York, but an excellent job by all of these drivers being able to get through these incidents without major contacts. We haven't seen a big shunt throughout the course of this race yet, and hopefully it stays that way as we're 33 minutes in. We're a third of the way into this thing. We put down 24 laps completed. Jesper Eriksson is about to complete his 25th. So we're looking at this, probably looking at about 75 laps throughout the course of this thing. And I tell you what, if these guys were low on fuel at lap 25, I think 2 stops is still appropriate.
Yeah, you got to think we're probably
going to be able to go between 40 and 50% longer on this tank. So
yeah, that's 100 minutes divided by 3. It's going to be 33 about. So they came in on lap 21. They might be able to get, well, actually, you know,
I think they'll be fine.
That.
That's about 28, 29 minutes into the race. They come in for 75 liters of fuel. They should be all right. They go 30 minutes on 50. They can go 50. They can go longer on, much longer on 75.
Yeah, which makes me think, you know, the longest drivers that stayed out, Bjorn Broström and Heflidi Johannesson, were having issues anyways. So they stayed out till lap 22. It looks like Linus Broström also stayed out till lap 22, so we know they can get at least 22 laps in. But
remember,
surprised.
that's with the 50 liters that they started with.
Right, which
They
don't have a good grasp of what that means.
So here's the way I'm seeing it. We'll see 21 laps, 30 or so minutes on 50 liters. If they can go 75, they can get 50% more out of it. So 21 laps, put it up to 31. 20 or 30 minutes, you could probably put that up to about 45. So even if they can only go 40 minutes on this next tank of gas, that'll put them at 70 minutes through the race, and that'll give them 10 minutes of overage. Obviously,
Yeah.
I'm just basing it off of numbers. I haven't seen enough practice time and haven't driven these cars enough to know how many laps they can go for sure, but I'm pretty sure I'm just overanalyzing when I think that there might be more than 2 stops. I think this will be a 2-stop race.
Yeah, and that's what we were told. That's what the experts said, so I believe him. I trust him. As again,
I just like to try to throw up a little bit of a question up into the air in my head. But yeah, these guys definitely looking strong for that 2 pit stop pace.
Because right now, the only drivers that are close together. Melvin Atkinson and Daniel Holmer trying to stay in tow. You see those light blue, bright esports machines all staying pretty close together, still formed up.
Still third through sixth on the racetrack, but they lost a considerable amount of time on that pit stop cycle. They came in about 6 seconds off your race lead. Now, Daniel Blomqvist is about 17 seconds or so off the race lead. So, throughout the course of that pit stop cycle, Jesper definitely got the advantage, but now he's going to be working into some lap traffic. These guys not a lap down yet. Obviously, a free pass isn't a thing here, but there is a little bit of pride being able to finish on the lead lap, and these guys are racing hard for position. Looks like actually the 80 is going to let that one go and try to let the leader go, as he maybe doesn't find the most convenient spot to let him go, but he stays slow and stays out of the way. Tell you what, Jesper touched the grass there. I got a little bit nervous. Thought that might have been a little bit worse, but he gets through that okay. Fast one lap. Now he's got one more Lucas Holmer in to look forward to.
Yeah, one more, and then here in about half a lap, he's going to have a ton more. Let's see if we can get our track map. Track map not cooperating. To apologize for that, but yeah, now we're in the second part of the game, right? You've got to head. There's no cautions here. You're going to have to start working through lap traffic. Now we're going to get into it's not all about being the fastest. Now you got to work through all those slower cars, maybe some people not getting out of the way as much as you want them to, or getting out of the way in inconvenient places. They just got to hold their line. That's all you got to ask them to do. You can't expect them to get out of your way, but you also don't want them to make it harder either, because you're going to be racing next week. But right now, trying to catch Lucas Holmgren, and then right after that, it's going to be Sebastian Magnussen.
And one thing that there's an off right in front of your race leader, has to check up just a touch, but that's a nice way to get around Lucas Holmer and put him one lap down. And like I was gonna say, I don't know if you've run any Daytona 24s. That's about the only endurance racing that I do, so I'm not an expert, but I always tell my drivers, I tell my teammates, if you're getting lapped, especially if you're not in the same class, which luckily these guys don't have to deal with, but if you're getting lapped, it's more of a don't be nice, be predictable type of situation. You don't want to pull off somewhere where the leader doesn't expect you to, because you don't know if that might be where he wants to go, or maybe, how he's going to react. So you just want to be as predictable as you possibly can be. Continue running your line, and you don't want to be a hindrance with that, but you don't want to do something that the leader doesn't expect you to do and cause him to make a mistake or potentially hit you.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's just what you got to do. You got to be consistent. You want to try and keep being fast. Luckily, Eriksson doesn't really have to worry about Kaflatus there, but he does have to worry about taking it a little bit slower on these turns than he would usually when he's coming up on that lap traffic, because that's where it's all going to happen.
And another thing to note as this thing continues on, we are 40 minutes into this race, 30 laps completed. As these guys keep going off and coming up onto the racetrack, that's going to bring gravel, that's going to bring dust, grass, debris onto the racetrack, and that could definitely slip up some of these guys' tires if it's in a place they don't expect it to be. I've already seen a couple spots in that turn one oval complex right before the pit lane entry where there has been some tufts of grass thrown up onto the racetrack a little bit further outside of the curb. So it's definitely not something these guys want to hit, as grass on iRacing is like ice. It does not have any grip whatsoever. You see a little bit there on the inside of the curb from guys touching the inside. I don't think the inside grass is going to be as detrimental, but you get grass up on the racing surface, you touch it with the outside tires coming up off the corner, hard on the gas, that could really upset your race car. Oh man, I'm glad you. Yeah, Jesper Eriksson rocking the race lead here. He's got a couple of lappers right in front of him. We'll see how he's going to manage this. The 52 gets up out of his way. And the 877 also going to go wide, get out of his way. That's Sebastian Magnussen going one lap down. Melvin Atkinson rocking in 5th place right now. A strong run for him. He's up one spot from where he started. So, I mean, not a whole heck of a lot in terms of gains, but he's been super consistent racing within his team. He's got the 79 of Daniel Holmer getting close behind him. That's the closest battle we've got on the track right now, but Atkinson holding strong in this 5th place. Definitely something that these Bright Esports guys like to see. They like to see their cars all on the same screen as well. Probably hoping it was a little bit closer up on top. Maybe had 3 of their 4 guys on the podium instead of just 1. But we've still got about 57 minutes left in this thing. We've got plenty of time for things to start sorting out. And as these guys get further and further into the run, get further away from other drivers, they're going to start to have less reference points on the track. We're going to start to see these guys showing their true colors, and the cream's going to continue to rise to the top. Continue on this battle here with Holmer. He's inching a bit closer to his teammate there, and James, you might have been able to see a little bit there, but these Bright Esports cars, they've been pretty equal, but Holmer, it seems like he wants to go and get that 5th place back where he started.
Absolutely leading right now in the points. So
oh, and there's a bit of a lockup there out of the 86, which caused the... I don't know if it was a lockup from the 86 or if the 79 just didn't expect him to check up so soon. But Daniel Holmer locks it up into 1 after a slight mistake from Atkinson. That cost him a bit of time there. And sorry to interrupt you there, James.
Holmer he's the leader right now in points. Everything matters for him. So to try and come in there and have that happen, you know, he's kind of cursing his teammate right now. Like, but you know, they got a race. He's Melvin Alkison is also doing his thing, trying to make it up. As Victor Holmstrom just went off the racetrack.
Oh yeah, he did. Probably that same kind of situation we've seen so many times, getting into the hard braking zone at turn 1. Locked up either the front or the rears, or probably just got in a little bit too hot.
Let's take a look.
62
here.
Well, a lap car in front of him that might have thrown off his entry. It doesn't look like it.
Well, yeah, he went up on him pretty quickly there. Maybe he had to hit the brakes a little bit harder than he initially wanted to because of the different the speed differential there.
Yeah, I think you're correct there. Is Bjorn Brandstrom and Victor Hammerstrom have also had a couple of offs, so some more names having trouble here in the midpoint of the race. We're 45 minutes into this thing, 34 laps complete. And this is where things start to get really tough on these guys. You know, you start to think you're in a rhythm. You make one mistake, that's going to really kill your momentum. You got to kind of keep trucking along, keep clicking away these laps and keeping a rhythm together.
Absolutely. Now, if you're talking about clicking away laps, these guys here at the Ladin iRacing, whatever, the Svenska eRacing.
Svenska eRacingligan.
There we go. You got it. I'm not only am I in America, Liam, I'm in the middle of America where we don't even speak English very well. So I know about half a language. So to bring in another one is kind of throwing me off. I don't mean to be, not trying to be rude to any culture or definitely not the Swedes, but
it's okay. I am a Minnesotan. We do the Scandinavian thing. We have a football team called the Vikings. So while I have little to no Scandinavian in me, thought I did, but ancestry stuff proved us wrong. I'll just pretend. And a Fleeting Johnson and Pontus Nordgren have crashed. Sorry there, James.
Yeah, I don't think it was related. We kind of saw that as Homer was trying to work past Akasen. But where I was going with that rant, sometimes I end up getting to the end of with my train of thought, but most times I just lose them halfway through. But where I was going with that, folks, is they also race Cup Series races. Every other week they kind of switch things up, so the Cup Series is going on right now. You can check that out next week. But if you want some more midday action, you can follow us in tomorrow. Liam, tell us about what you got going on tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern.
At 1 p.m. Eastern, we've got the midday racing. I actually think it's noon Eastern. The Midday Racing League. They've got fantastic next-gen Cup Series racing going on, and we absolutely love bringing you that show. I personally get to be on that one, and it's a blast. As we look at the 79 getting right to the rear bumper of the 086, I'm trying to do a bit of a promo as this fantastic battle is going on. That's a tough one. Just going to have to focus on Daniel Holmer as he works. Now he goes a little bit wide there, coming through 5. Getting into 6 and 7, he's going to have a little bit to recover, but drafting is going to be good down this straightaway. Obviously not going to be the chance for the pass this time, but this is the second time we've seen Holmer get right to the back of Melvin Atkinson, especially in that first corner, and not be able to complete the pass. You got to wonder if maybe he's starting to get on the team communications and say, I think I might be lapping a little bit quicker than you. But yeah, like you were saying, we got the Midday Racing League going on tomorrow, live at noon Eastern. We'd love to have you come check us out on your lunch break at work, or maybe you got the day off. Either way, we'd love to have you live on Sim Racing Media's YouTube channel, right where you're watching this one, unless you're watching on the Svenska eRacingligan Twitch, in which case, come find us on Sim Racing Media for some more fantastic action. But we appreciate you guys tuning in wherever you are. This fantastic race as we are approaching the halfway point, just about 1 minute and 15 until we hit the 50-minute mark of this 100-minute race.
Yeah, and with that, since everybody is kind of spread out right now, we're going to go ahead and get off here for a quick moment, give you guys some ads, as well as our race sponsor. Go ahead, Liam, you've been practicing.
Trygghetpånätet.
There you go. Trygghetpånätet. We're going to get a little, they'll say it a lot better here in the ad. Just stick around with us, folks. We'll be right back.
Hej och välkommen till Trygghet på nätet. På den här hemsidan så vill jag möta upp alla som känner sig lite vilsna digitalt. Mitt mål är att vi vuxna ska förstå barnens skärmtid, men också hur vi kan leva med det. Tillsammans med er ökar vi kunskapen och säkerheten på nätet för våra barn. Det kan finnas en känsla att vi generationer emellan varandra inte hänger med. Men du som vuxen vill stötta och förstå. Mitt mål med den här hemsidan är att minska klyftan mellan den vuxna världen och den yngre generationen. Här har jag delat upp hemsidan i olika delar. Det kommer finnas information på ett sätt som är enkelt och förståeligt. Välkommen igen till Trygghet på nätet.
Absolutely phenomenal action we witnessed while we were away on commercial. You saw a battle with the 877 and the 21, Lucas Holmer and Sebastian Magnussen. That was a battle for position, and Holmer was able to get away with that after a really tough battle there. You saw him with a huge move on the outside, getting into that turn one complex. A little bit of contact made under braking, but that 21, Holmer was able to get away. We jump back up front, or up into the top five, rather. Daniel Holmer still trying to work over his teammate, that 086. He's been inching closer and closer. Hasn't been as quick of a catch-up as it has been these last couple times after you saw him get right up to the back bumper. But this lap car right in front of these drivers might make things a little bit tougher for Melvin Atkinson to hold on to this position. Atkinson's going to have the toe down the back straightaway, so advantage Atkinson, along with Holmer having a toe. A little bit of an incident with Fleety and Magnussen may have touched the grass there a little bit, but look at these guys working through that left, right section here before they get hard up onto the gas in a downforce necessary spot, but one of the faster sections on this racetrack and the third hardest braking zone of the day. And look at Holmer just inching closer and closer. Hits a better apex through 12, now into 13. That might be 14, but either way, he's getting closer and closer. It's now 2 car lengths. It might not be enough to be able to get enough of a tow, especially with the 877 in front of these guys. But look at these two. Now the 877 gets out of the way. Holmer probably not close enough to make a move, but he's right up on it. Dives it in just a little bit deeper. Those two virtually equal throughout that first corner. Now we get into the higher downforce switcheroo section, a little lefty-righty, hard right turn, and back into the left-right swing. Bit of a chicane. These guys have all been very good to not touch those illegal sections of the track that we mentioned in pre-race during qualifying. I don't think we've seen any off-track penalties for that. Good on these guys, no slowdowns, no nothing like that. But I tell you what, if you're Daniel Holmer right now, you are just begging for a mistake on the 86. You know you're lapping just a little bit quicker, but you're unable to make the pass. You're unable to get close enough. It's a long race. This is endurance racing, but hey, this is why we do it. This is what we live for. These battles that last half the race. The Right Esports storyline has been one for the day so far. Sitting 3rd through 6th. We brought it up a bunch of times today. Seems like now the 86 is able to just kind of hold down, run his line a little bit more. He's not giving away too many advantages to that 79 machine, but Daniel Holmer got to still be hard on the attack just in case that 86 in front of him slips a wheel off. A little bit better through the chicane there. You see how this gap drops off. It's just over half a second now. Hard under braking. 79 able to close it down quite a bit now into this chicane section here. Once again, 2 car lengths separating the battle for 5th place. And Daniel Holmer, he's just getting closer and closer, man. Appreciate everybody tuning in live on YouTube and on the Twitch stream for the Swedish eRacing League. Love to have you guys and love to see this great battle going on between teammates. Marcus Stiller and Michael Haflidassen have crashed, according to iRacing. No, iRacing might just be giving me some weird...
Let's take a look. I don't know if it was involved, the 2 drivers. Oh,
no!
Yeah. Incident involving Marcus Stiller. It was the lead car.
Michael Haflidassen running in 2nd place, getting turned around. That's definitely going to take away time. He's now 12 seconds off of the race lead, and a tough break for the driver who sat on pole. So it looks like, yeah, the lap car is going to get out of the way. Try not to impede the progress. Gets back in behind him and might just get in on the brakes a little bit too late. more focused on the rear view than the braking zone. And that's the first real bit of contact that we've seen all day today. Obviously, there was the battle between the 21 and the 877, but first real bit of contact.
Because this is big.
Yeah, first real bit of contact that we have ended up seeing today, and it takes out your second place driver. Able to continue on in second, but just nothing he could do there. Immediately right back on it, though, getting back going.
Yeah, just lucky that wasn't more. Didn't lose too much time there. That's really the closest battle on the field. That's why we're focusing on Holmer and Atkinson so much. If you guys want to see some more of another driver, best way to do that is to comment the name of the driver you want to see some more of, and we will focus on them. But right now, in the absence of that, we're going to go ahead and fall over to these guys that are doing their race right now.
These guys are in a chess match.
And their teammates, so you know they they have to be holding at least a little bit back from some of the more aggressive tactics. But see how long that lasts as this race wears on. Now passing the hour mark.
Yeah, like you mentioned, they are teammates, so there is going to be a bit more respect in terms of this battle than you might see between, if they maybe got up to Eriksson or something like that. But these guys being teammates is not going to mean much as this race continues on, especially when you feel like your car is faster. It's almost worse when you're teammates because you have the option to get on the radio and be like, hey, tell them I think I'm quicker. Maybe let me try it a little bit. We've seen those kind of team orders in Formula One. But hey, this is iRacing. This is the Svenska eRacingligan. These guys are not here to make best friends. These guys are here to win races and finish as well as they possibly can. And it looked like the 086 of Melvin Atkinson. He goes wide there, getting up off of 3 into 4. Every time he does that, I think he's going to touch the grass and spin out, but he doesn't. He's got himself a phenomenal line through that section of corners that sets him up really nice for the chicane and gets him a good run down the back straightaway. And that continues to prevent Daniel Holmer from getting closer and closer to that 86 machine. We're going to have pit stops coming up again relatively soon. And all these guys have to make sure not to be speeding on entry, to make sure you're on the pit road speed limiter the whole time throughout until exit. That, and you just can't overshoot your box because that is going to hurt you so bad. Maybe not the leader, Jesper Eriksson. He's got himself 13 seconds of a race lead over Michael Hafledasson, but
yeah, if you're Daniel
Holmer getting right back up to the back of Atkinson, though, might be his best chance. Against within a car length there.
Where the way he's acting.
Oh, look at this! He's getting close.
That was
just right up.
He could have pulled out there coming into turn 1 and didn't. So I don't know what's going on with Holmer. He's choosing his battles in a very odd place. If that is what, in fact, he was trying to do, was pass there coming out of turn number 3.
I just don't think he was close enough there off of, or going down into 1 to be able to try to outbrake him. And I don't think he expected to get as close as he did going through 3, but we saw those guys get bumper to bumper damn near. And wow, these guys, they're teammates, but I don't know, James. I got to believe they're racing as hard as they can, as respectful as they can as teammates. As now you see another pair of these bright esports teammates starting to get closer and closer to each other. This is the battle for 3rd place. Held on to by...
It's going to be the 41 of Bjorn Broström.
Bjorn goes in deep. He's going to give up a couple of on-track positions. Obviously, he was a lapped car, so that's not going to affect him in terms of position. Look at that 13 right behind him, just sliding. Now we go back to the battle here between Holmer and Olsen, or Atkinson and Holmer, rather. Oh, and around goes Atkinson! Takes that wide angle or rather arc through turns 3 and 4, and that time it bit him. But Daniel Holmer to 5th place. Atkinson still holds on to 6th where he started. Now he's going to have to try to defend from Linus Broström. But Broström looks to be 13 or so seconds away from that Atkinson machine, so I don't think that's going to be too much of a battle at the current time.
Take a look back on that on track. Of course, we missed it. Let's get a replay up.
Looks like he's going to go in here. He's going to go wide. He's going to try his arc and didn't even touch the grass. Just got up onto that curb, lost the grip. And when he turned it back to the right, the car turned, but velocity didn't change.
Yeah, let's take a look from the nose. Or actually, we'll go in the cockpit there. This was on exit, so this is a place where he was expecting to be able to speed up. Luckily, when things are spread out this far, you don't really have to worry about it. The guy behind you is pretty far away. Battle on track right now. Marcus Stiller has been sliding backwards ever since he went off with the leader. Still up 2 positions overall, but Lucas Holmgren, one of our first drivers to get it bent out of shape, he's down 5.
Somebody I'd like to bring up is Sebastian Magnussen. He started tail end of the field. He's sitting a lap down right now, or 2 laps down almost at the moment. But he's gained 5 spots from the start of this thing. It hasn't obviously been the ideal race for him. We've seen him make a little bit of contact with the 21 machine, but this guy's taking these laps, picking him up, putting him down, and just keeping his head down, keeping on fighting. Next car for him to pass is Lucas Holmgren, who we saw those two battling quite excellently while we were stepped away for break. Sitting in 13th right now, hoping for a couple more, but still a really good day there for Sebastian Magnussen.
Absolutely. If you go back and take a look at Jesper again, so far so good. He is checked out. 12 seconds up on Michael Hafladison. And so let's talk about this for a moment here. It's a little bit different, obviously, than what we're used to seeing here. These drivers longer, the intervals are a little bit different. Mentally, where do you have to be if you're Michael Hafladison? You're losing time on the 12. Daniel Blomqvist is 14 seconds ahead of you. Just the mental fortitude you have to come into these races, and it's not like oval where you can see the guy in front of you. You got to go get him. You're going to chase him. You're going to get him. No, you got to be prepared to know that, hey, the guy in front of me is better than me right now. I'm just going to keep running my race and hitting my marks because I got 40 more minutes that I have to do this for.
Yeah, that's exactly it. If you're the 81 Michael Hafladison, you have got to be just in that zone. I've got 40 minutes to go. I don't care what the gap is in front of me. I don't care what the gap is behind me. It's easier to say that when it's so large, but you just got to keep logging laps. Maybe hope for a mistake out of the leaders so you can get a little bit closer in this next pit cycle. But to the guys behind you, you just got to keep logging laps, keep that gap where it is, and don't let those guys close in on you. Otherwise, you've got yourself a shot at a really nice P2 finish here.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of, there is still a battle for third. These are teammates, Daniel Blomqvist and Alexander Olsen, but Lucas and Marcus Stiller are still battling. See if that's going to play into effect on when Marcus got into his issue with the leader, if that's in his head or what he's thinking about here.
Yeah, obviously Marcus got into the second place car of Michael Hafladison earlier on. Might be a little bit of damage to the front end after that contact, but he's here racing for position. His teammate is the next car behind that 21 machine. There's Lucas Holmgren is absolutely working the back of that 13 machine, trying to work his way up into the top 10. So these guys come up on a lapped car, getting close to that grass, but don't quite touch it. You know, iRacers don't always touch grass, but they do when they can. Now this that's a smart move there, trying to come down in front of the draft to the lapped car to prevent the 21 from getting closer with the toe. But it seems like that 21 car is just handling so much better than the 13 we ride on board with. Going to be tough to keep him back there. But hey, if you can hold on until this next pit stop, get some fresh tires on it, try to get a gap, you might be able to hold on to this top 10 spot if you're Marcus Stiller.
Yeah, that gap a little bit more considerable right now, about a second difference from old tires versus new, which again, you're looking at maybe 2% slower here, but definitely something that these drivers are thinking about as we move forward is, all right, I just got to get to that final area.
Sid has had enough.
Do it.
My iRacing is showing that Jesper Eriksson has had an off.
He's still gapping out Michael Flattison. Let's take a look.
Like he was running too good there, but just gets up in too deep into turn 1. Does end up going off. Doesn't quite hit the grass, but that's going to hurt him by, honestly, about a second and a half. 11.3 seconds is the gap now. And if you're Michael Hafadassin, you just got to hope for about 10 more of those.
Yeah, absolutely. 10 more of those as we see gap drop to 11 seconds. Of course, Michael has had his issues too, so kind of the yin and the yang. Michael getting into Marcus Stiller earlier. Let's see if we can find that from earlier. Michael, not Marcus. And here on that was lap 44.
Just getting down up into turn 1, getting around the lapped car. See the 13 just gets in there a little bit too deep. Maybe not quite aware of his braking zones entering on that part of the racetrack. Jesper Eriksson continues to lead, just under 11 seconds right now.
That is going to change it's going to change your psyche too if you're in the lead here. Jesper Eriksson, he was having a good run, he was doing good, and then boom, that happened, and it's going to mess with you. But as we take a look at, here's another Marcus Stiller again, but I believe that's Holmer. He's going to do it a little bit differently this time.
Eriksson going around there. There's Holmer.
Yeah, there was. It was Eriksson. But there was an issue with Lucas Holmgren on lap 52. Let's take a look. Once he passed Stiller.
Oh, goes in too hot. Goes off the racetrack. And you know that iRacing grass is just like ice, so he's doing everything he can to not let that car spin out from under him. He's got to be running.
Michael Flaxen off track.
Oh, the same deal. He goes wide there, entering the braking zone into the oval turn 1 complex. Now he's going to come into the pits after that off. Jesper Eriksson into the pits as well. Alexander Olsen. We'll see if some of these other guys decide to take the wide entry into pit lane. Holmer stays out. Atkinson's in. Less than 30 minutes left in the race. These are the final pit stops. Now the question is, when you run this long, do you maybe want to take a little bit less gas, just enough to make it to the finish so you've got a lighter race car?
If you think it makes that big of a difference for you, you can. However, with what we saw, we know for a fact that you can go 22 laps, right? Which is probably about what they're looking at, but on that 50 liters. But if it's me and I'm not up front and I've got a pretty good gap around me, I'm not going to try and push it and make that car lighter and harder to get around on the fresh tires.
Well, remember, you get 75 liters in the gas tank. These guys just started on 50. They can fill it all the way up to 75 if they want to. And with how long they went on this second stint, they probably went 10 more laps than they were able to. This pit stop coming in for Daniel Blomqvist on lap 54, his last pit lap before that. was 22, and same with Daniel Holmer. His last pit lap was 22. So coming in on 54, these guys should be able to make it to the end with no problem, which kind of brings that question back in. Knowing that you've got less than half an hour left, do you maybe put it down to 50 since your 50 leaders got you a half hour before?
Yeah, is it worth the gamble for you? How confident are you? How much homework have you been doing? How much learning have you been doing as the race progresses? Which, speaking of learning, I don't know if it's true or not, but iRacing just posted a picture that we may have rain in the forecast for some of these road courses, and
oh geez, don't get me going like that.
The windshield wiper might be coming into play here, as we see on the front of these machines. As we are live here on YouTube and over on Twitch, we appreciate the heck out of everybody who's came in and liked the stream. Like it on both places. If you're over there on Svenska, eRacingligan, on their Twitch, go ahead and give them a follow, as well as if you're over here, hit us, get that like button, hit that thumbs up. Also, let a comment, let us know who you want to watch, who your favorite driver is. We can make that happen for you as well. So, but right now, closing in, 56 laps down, these drivers are getting to where they're about ready to get out of the car and get a drink or something, because I tell you, it almost drives you to drink driving these things around.
Well, when I was doing the Daytona 24, most of our stints would go about 45 minutes, and we would double stint them. So we'd run about an hour and a half. That got long. Sometimes we'd run longer, but even an hour and a half would get long. These guys get an extra 10 minutes added onto that. No driver swaps, no nothing like that. This is just pure 100 laps of getting everything you can and just trying to be better than the 17 other drivers out on the racetrack with you.
Yeah, absolutely. As Lucas is going off track, we see that in the relative slowdown. Let's take a look at Jesper Eriksson. Let's go and see how quickly he's running through this as we go on the nose.
His last lap was the quickest. His last lap was the quickest lap of the entire weekend with a 1:17.19.
You get up to 260 kilometers an hour on that backstretch as he goes through the chicanes here. I guess the whoops, I don't know what you call them. He's got to get a tow from the lap car up there.
We'll stay on board here and keep an eye on that speed. See just how fast Jesper Eriksson is going before he gets into that turn one braking zone. This guy has been absolutely flawless all day. He started second. Michael Hafledassen was up in front of him for a little bit beforehand. You see him trying to stick in that toe here. Doesn't want the lap car out of his way. Not yet. Down, up, into the corner. Pushing over 270 kilometers per hour, probably 280.
Absolutely. And that was Philip Axelson that he just put a lap on. Philip is in the top 10 in 8th position. So next one up to get lapped is going to be Linus Broström, who last came in on lap 49, so on a little bit earlier schedule than everybody else.
He's got a little ways before he gets lapped, but with 25 minutes left in this thing, it might be a tough ask to try to keep it behind him. Talking about that race leader, Jesper Eriksson.
Absolutely. And as we've moved a little bit farther throughout the race, it has got a little cloudy here. A little bit overcast in the area. The track temp still 34 degrees Celsius. 27 degrees is the ambient temp. So it's relatively warm here in Indianapolis. I know warm front's coming through, bringing along with it some storms. As oh boy, Alexander Olsen, and who's that lap car?
62. That's Victor Hammerstrom. Like you mentioned, that cloud cover rolling in, that might cool down the track temperature just a little bit, but 34 degrees Celsius is absolutely nothing to joke about. Have to do some math, but I think that pushes over 9 degrees Fahrenheit. Yep. So that's pretty slick on these tires.
If you're looking for the formula for Celsius to Fahrenheit, I know you're not, but we got about 22 minutes left in this thing, and the closest gap I see on the track is 3 seconds. It's Celsius, whatever you're taking, times 9/5 plus
Or
32.
1.8. Yeah, or 1.8. 9/5, 1.8. Decimals are easier for me to work in my head than fractions. Personally.
I don't know, man. I just work here. You know, you're up fairly in Canada, and you've got to learn that stuff. I don't. It's not part of my curriculum.
Oh, and look at the 37. Jesper Eriksson goes way wide, touches the grass there, goes completely over the grass on the access road, getting down into oval turn 1. Uses a huge amount of draft from that 087 machine, and now he gets down into turn 1. Jesper, though, not messing around, getting around these lapped cars. He's willing to take that 1X going off track to get away from these guys.
I don't know if I'm trusting a lap car that is approximately 5 laps down to have me tow like that. Jesper Eriksson definitely feeling himself after this. That's confidence, folks. Let's see if it gets to him as he's up on the 41 machine. That is Linus Broström, as these drivers getting out of the way for Jesper, as he is absolutely still flying. He's found his rhythm. He knows what he's doing here. As we go in the cockpit and take a look.
Got 18.5 seconds of a lead right now with 15 minutes left in this race. If you want to talk about a flawless performance, we're not sponsored, but our Xfinity X5 fastest moment of the race, or whatever any speed companies want to sponsor us, this is definitely it. This is the fastest driver of the day. He's put down a lap in the race trim that was quicker than anything anybody put down in practice, and has been absolutely flawless since taking the lead. I mean, he has had one brake lockup, so maybe not absolutely flawless, but 99% flawless here for Jesper Eriksson.
And currently working on, excuse me, Linus Broström here, who is in 7th position. And these lap cars are going to get harder and harder to get past as we go on, just because they're now more up to speed, more on par with what he's running right now. Like Linus, he's got a 19.93 is what he was running, so about 2 seconds off. But it's going to get harder and harder to work with these lap cars unless they decide to work with you, as Philip Axelson has gone off track. Let's take a look at that replay from lap 60. Whoopsie daisy.
We've seen it time and time again today that entry into one, you've got to be picture perfect. You come in a little too hot, try to steer too hard, you're going around.
I think 9 out of the 10 self spins we've seen have came out of that turn right there.
Jesper Eriksson. We approach 10 minutes left in this one. About 12 and a half to go right now. Or rather 18 minutes. 18 minutes to go here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Race being led by Jesper Eriksson by a very healthy 19.5 seconds. Daniel Blomqvist starts the Bright Esports train in 3rd. Then Olsen, Holmer, Akison round out the cars that are on the lead lap. You just saw Linus Broström get lapped by your race leader, Jesper Eriksson. Behind him is Philip Bjork, Philip Axelson, and Victor Hammerstrom rounding out your top 10. Marcus Stiller, Lucas Holmeren, Sebastian Magnussen, Christopher Dahlstrand, and Bjorn Broström round out your top 15. And Pontus Nordgren, Flutie Johansson, and Simon Green round out the field. Simon, the only driver to be listed as a DNF right now. Unsure of what happened to him 21 laps into the race, but unfortunately out of the race right now. And he is the only one. So 17 out of your 18 starters still out on the racetrack. As we get ever so close to the finish of this thing, Jesper Eriksson has put on a clinic, a masterclass of how to get around these flat tracks over the last couple of runs here in the LMP2s. Of course, led 60 out of 65 laps at Sebring, and I'm not sure when he took the lead here, whether it was 5 or 8 laps into this race, but he really has not looked back, with the exception of pit stops. Saw a couple of those bright esports guys stay out to lead a lap. Other than that, as we get closer and closer to the 15-minute mark left in this race, it has absolutely been Jesper Eriksson. Coming up on that lapped machine just in front of him. Gonna try to get a toe down this front straightaway. Linus Holmer in right in front of him. He's already a lap down. I can't imagine he'll put up too much of a fight, but this is a really tough spot to try to give away position. He goes wide. He's going to get that spot away easily. Lets up off the gas and falls in behind your race leader. 15 minutes to go, plus the final lap for Jesper Eriksson to try to hold on to a 20-second lead.
Absolutely, as he's trying to, he's got to hold on to a 20-second lead. Man, that's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to hold on to that 20-second lead.
All he's got to do is just keep the wheels between the lines, keep it on the island. He should be in good shape.
Even then, if he wants to go off and get a quick sip of tea, have some soup, as long as he gets back out there pretty quick. But speaking of, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go get a sip of water. We're going to go back to our ad break here one last time before we get going, and we will be right back, ladies and gentlemen.
Should I make a Keyboard Warriors comment?
Hej och välkommen till Trygghet på nätet. På den här hemsidan så vill jag möta upp alla som känner sig lite vilsna digitalt. Mitt mål är att vi vuxna ska förstå barnens skärmtid, men också hur vi kan leva med det. Tillsammans med er ökar vi kunskapen och säkerheten på nätet för våra barn. Det kan finnas en känsla att vi generationer emellan varandra inte hänger med. Men du som vuxen vill stötta och förstå. Mitt mål med den här hemsidan är att minska klyftan mellan den vuxna världen och den yngre generationen. Här har jag delat upp hemsidan i olika delar. Det kommer finnas information på ett sätt som är enkelt och förståeligt. Välkommen igen till Trygghet på nätet.
we are back here. Sebastian Magnussen working with a trying to get lapped here. This is the final couple laps we're gonna have. 10 minutes here, so 10 laps or so left. Stick around, as we appreciate you sticking around during our ad break and supporting the folks that decide to support these leagues, because I tell you what, special place in our hearts for those that get these drivers out in the air. We don't do it for the fame. These drivers do it so they can go to work the next day. They can go to work tomorrow and say, look, this is my hobby, this is what I do, and have an opportunity to show their loved ones and friends just what they do. So to be able to do that and give these folks the money they need to put it out there, absolutely appreciate the heck out of all of our sponsors that you've been seeing in the top right, as well as our race sponsor. Liam, you're the expert here.
All right, we got Trygghetpånätet.
There we go.
It's our race here at the Grand Prix at Indianapolis. Basically, security on the internet. It's a website for a parent who wants to keep up with today's digital culture. Children and young people live with their devices, and parents sometimes find it difficult to keep up. Safety on the Net is a website that I wanted to build, not me, Alexander Nielsen. It's a site he wanted to build that bridge between the worlds, between parents and kids online. Quote here, in short, the project that's something I, Alexander Nielsen, work on in my spare time because I have seen that there is a need for this. I want to lift the online culture into something positive that parents should understand the communities that this culture creates. I also want to work with the parents and help them work on themselves by becoming a role model online, a safe adult online, so that we can change the culture and have security online. So we appreciate Trygghetpånätet for joining up with us, and we apologize for how many times we've butchered that, but you guys are phenomenal, and thanks for sponsoring the race as we continue to watch Jesper Eriksson complete lap number 69.
Nice. As we are moving in, as pretty much that's it, guys. You can see the intervals there on the left side of the track. There's not much going on in terms of positions. Let's go ahead and run through our top 10. Jesper Eriksson going to be, of course, leading. Michael Hafladison there in second position. Daniel Blomqvist in third. Alexander Olsen currently running fourth position. That Bright Esports trying to work through their third through fourth. They are exactly where they started. Third through sixth, I'm sorry. So Daniel, there's been no change there. Daniel Holmer there in fifth. Melvin Atkinson there in sixth. Linus Broström is up 3 positions. He's up to 7th right now. Philip Bjork in 8th, Philip Axelson in 9th, and in 10th is going to be Victor Hammerstrom. And you got the rest of them, I believe, Liam.
Sir, Marcus Stiller sitting in 11th place. Lucas Holmer in right behind him, about 8 seconds back. We've got Sebastian Magnussen in the 877 machine. Christopher Dahlstrand rocking the 80 paint scheme, similar paint scheme. Bjorn Broström rounding out the top 15. Then Haflida Johansson, Pontus Nordgren, and then Simon Green unable to finish this one.
Yeah, quick shout out here to Hafladi Johannesson and Pontus Nordgren. Had some trouble in the beginning getting these machines gathered up, but they were able to do so and work hard and stick in it. They did, you know what? They're sticking in it. They're here about 5 laps down right now. I love to see it. I love to see these guys doing what they do.
Yeah, absolutely. The show is not over until it's over, and these guys are able to gain another spot. We've still got 5 minutes left. If something were to happen to some of these cars later on in the field, they could still gain another spot or two. But right now it looks to be the Jesper Eriksson show as we approach 5 minutes left in this thing. 5.5 minutes remain out of 100. Indianapolis Motor Speedway has delivered once again. We saw an amazing first couple of laps here. We've seen a couple of different strategy calls. Jesper Eriksson has put all of those wandering thoughts to bed and said, hey, what you need to think about is me leading this race, winning this race, and that's what the show is. We got Fyllde Johansson working through after the back straightaway into, I think, 11, 12, and 13. Jesper's out to 24 seconds of a race lead right now. Sebastian Magnussen, he's caught up in this big gaggle of traffic here. And you see those two bright esports cars being separated by a couple of lap cars. Those bright esports cars, sorry?
But yeah, with 5 minutes left to go, this is not when you want to get caught up in this lap traffic. That's the 41 of Bjorn Broström. And you got to be real careful here. Do you pad your lead as we see Daniel Holmer about 3 seconds up ahead, or 3 seconds behind Alexander Olsen? So how much do you really want to do here as you're trying to work by this lap car? Oh, see?
Whoa, close moment there. I think the
You
41 was going to let off to let him go through. But Olsen might not have gotten that message. Could have slowed him down as Holmer now gets caught up behind Broström.
Sorry, I pulled up right when that happened. There we go. Get the cameras fixed a little bit. We have put the sponsors' information in our Twitch, so you can head over to their YouTube as well as their website that's been mentioned in the ad a couple times. We would appreciate if you gave them that benefit as well. As
Trygghetpånätet, couldn't tell you how to spell it, but I think I'm okay at pronouncing it. Obviously, our race sponsor here, and we've had plenty of different groups come along sponsor the series. You can see their logos scrolling by on the top right of the screen. All these guys obviously jumping in to help the Svenska eRacingligan be successful and continue to put on such great racing. We can't thank the sponsors enough for letting us be involved with this. We approach less than 3 minutes left. Rocking Michael Hafledassen right now, 22 seconds off of the race lead. But overall, a phenomenal day, a phenomenal weekend. Snuck away pole from Jesper Eriksson. Led for the first 5 or so laps until Jesper is able to get around him. We even saw him get turned around sideways racing with a lapped car, but still has not let that second place go away. Do you see Lucas getting a little bit loose up in front of him, might have gone off the track. Should be an easy pass down the front straightaway. Well, maybe not close enough for that, but say roughly 3 laps to go. We've got 2 minutes left, and there's Pontus Nordgren going off the track in turn 1. Trying to get that thing refired. Looks like he is able to. Yes, rolling away at speed now, and that's not going to bring out any sort of incident. Not that we have safety cars in this league, but you never want to have a car stopped at a bad spot. Not much longer left. You see a slow car coming up off of NASCAR turn 1, or IndyCar turn 1 rather. Might have been Philip Axelson.
look at this gaggle.
Everybody down the front stretch. There goes the orange car getting up. One of them goes way wide coming up off. That gives the orange car a chance. He locks up rather. Doesn't give him a chance. It gives him a mistake. As now the orange car there. I'm not sure what the number is from this camera. Magnussen might have gone off there. No, there's Magnussen there. Try to just deal with all these cars around him. I believe that was Fyllde Johansson. Yes, going off twice there in the first 2 corners. Tough deal for him. We've got a minute left though.
Yeah, we're going to be getting the white flag this time around as Jesper Eriksson going to be the one to do it. 22-second gap right now. Not too much to worry about. Not going to worry about fuel. We are absolutely here for it as Jesper Eriksson is going to most likely have himself a win today.
Absolutely, and I'm not 100% sure with the road racing if this is the white flag or not. The white flag is not being shown on my timing and scoring now, is it? So we're coming to the white flag this time around. 15 seconds left in the race, plus 1 lap for Jesper Eriksson. He's going to complete his 75th lap this time around. And as we look across, this is actually the checkered. Time is over. And Jesper Eriksson's going to win the race. Apologies for that. We thought we would get a white flag notification. We did not, but the checkered flag is out. Jesper Eriksson wins. Michael Hafledassen's going to come home second, 20 seconds back. Daniel Blomqvist should be third as we watch him go through the final section of corners here. Alexander Olsen, Daniel Holmer, and Melvin Atkinson round out the top 6. Say our top 5, but those 4 are team cars, so we got to keep them all grouped together. Daniel Holmer there takes the final top 5 spot. Melvin Atkinson follows him through. So 100 minutes, 75 laps complete for most, not for all. We've still got a couple more coming up off of turn number 4. Is the 62 going to be able to come down across the inside of the 19? No, he was not able to. Finish as a quarter second behind for a top 9 position, or rather top 10 position there. Hammerstrom stays in the top 10, trying to get 9th away from Axelson.
Believe that's going to do it. Checkered flag is out for everybody.
Yes, sir. Jesper Eriksson gets the job done. Michael Hafledassen and Daniel Blomqvist, after a phenomenal 100 minutes of racing here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. One of the toughest, most technical circuits these guys are going to face. Not a whole heck of a lot of passing opportunities, but these guys put on a hell of a show as we go ahead and get ready to, I guess, do what's next. I think we got some interviews coming our way.
Absolutely. First, we'll go over the race results and wait for them to get in. Jesper Eriksson, Michael Adolphson, Daniel Blomqvist, Alexander Olsen, Daniel Holmer, Melvin Axelson, Linus Broström, Philip York, Philip Axelson, and Victor Hammerstrom, your top 10, followed by Marcus Stiller, Lucas Holmgren, Christopher Dahlstrand, Sebastian Magnusson, Bjorn Broström, Afladi Johannesson, Pontus Nordgren, and Simon Green, rounding it out. So let's go ahead and speak to some folks here as we are going to speak with our winner first. Jesper, congratulations on the win.
Thank you very much.
So you pretty much had it from that first pass in lap 1. Tell us about how aggressive you had to be in the beginning and where that led you.
Well, I thought I didn't have to be too aggressive, so I started to do some fuel saving and just relaxing. But I did make a ton of mistakes all throughout the race and in the beginning, so I was like, nope, I need to start pushing now to catch up to Michael, and I did, and he kind of just let me through. I think he lifted the gas, so not to lose too much time, which worked for both of us. And then we just drive away. Did still make a ton of mistakes, as I said, kind of just locking up, almost spinning all the time. But yeah, it was fun. Enjoyed it. I really enjoyed just driving like this.
Absolutely. Well, we saw you. How big of a confidence was it to come into this race? We saw you in practice. You watched everybody. You didn't get a lap. And then with the last 5 minutes, you came in and put down the fastest lap of practice. How big a boost was that for you coming into this thing? And were you confident here at Indianapolis?
I was pretty confident because we did have a practice session during the Monday, which went awesome for me. I came P1 in practice there too, and so I had pretty much a lot of confidence just watching the other drivers and then doing my lap. But during the qualifying, I did make mistakes again, which made I didn't get pole. But I heard that Michael also had mistakes, and he lost like half a second during lap. And if it would have done that lap, nothing would have matched it, to be honest.
Absolutely. And again, the gap kind of speaks for itself here. But congratulations on the win. Who do we want to shout out and who gets it done for you here in Indianapolis?
I just want to shout out, first of all, the whole team for just being an amazing team, a team that I love talking to them. Just just love being with them and everything. It's a great family, you can kind of say, and the sponsors, Mabihy Bilar and Björn, which is the sponsor for them, just a very nice guy who also drove today. Just nice to have him with them, and of course you guys for streaming this. It's awesome just to have being able to look at what you've done and send it to friends and stuff. I love that.
Now, before we let you go, I just want to ask, since it was just on the screen there, did you get any X's for your wall contact on the last lap? On my screen, it shows sparks, but no contact. I didn't know if you maybe got netcode.
No, I did make contact. I did, but I got 2 X's for off track. That was all.
Beautiful drive, man.
Thank you very much, boys.
So
that'll be it
Jesper coming in for the win, and I believe you have Mr. Hufladesen.
Yeah, Michael Hafadassen, number 81. You come away with a strong second place finish. First off, you came away with the pole. Walk us through your qualifying lap if you could.
Pure luck, I must say. I wasn't expecting to be on pole. I had a miss into the SS, and I for sure thought the pole was gone. But apparently, I had a strong enough sector 1 and 3 that I could be just that tiny margin ahead of Jesper.
Talk us through the first couple of laps that you raced with Jesper there. It was very close, and it seemed like when he made the pass, you kind of let him go a little bit. Were you trying to maybe come back and race him, or what was going on with that battle there?
I told him beforehand because I knew Jesper was supposed to be faster than me. I told him I'm not going to race him. I'd rather come home with a second place than try to battle first and screw up and maybe get collected in something. So when Jesper eventually came by, I was just happy to follow him. Did a few mistakes in the first stint. In the second stint, I could follow him more easily, even though the gap was bigger, until I got spun by a lapped car, which was a little bit sad.
And kind of talk to us about that spin there too, with the lapped car going down into one. It looks like he gave you the lane, and then contact was made.
I don't know. He slowed down, I think, a lot before the corner, so I don't understand how he can lock up and hit me in the rear. Really, I don't really have any words for it. I'm kind of speechless, to be honest, about it.
Well, you were able to recover quite nicely and came away with a second place finish. Is there anybody that you want to thank for such a strong recovery today?
I want to thank obviously my teammates for all the help, and of course my company AMRT for all the good stuff they give me.
Awesome stuff, Michael. We appreciate you joining us up in the booth. Congratulations on your second place finish here today at Indianapolis. I know it didn't come easy, but it was exciting.
Thank you so much.
All right, next, Liam, I believe you also have Mr. Daniel Blomqvist.
Man.
Yes, sir. Daniel, how are you doing after a third place finish?
Okay, sweaty, but okay. Was the position I thought I would manage today because they were too quick today. Huffley and Jesper.
Yeah, it seemed like those top two were able to get away from you, but you and your whole team, Bright Esports, you guys all battled, came away with third place through sixth place. So what does that mean for your team?
That's great results. Unlucky for Holmer coming, I think was P4 instead. I think he would use, how do you say it, need the points because he's the lead of the championship.
Mm-hmm.
But me and Alex driving for big class is a good result for us and gaining on P2.
Yeah, awesome
in the
stuff.
team championship.
You had yourself a really good run. Did you have any pressure back behind from teammates, or what was the conversation like between your teammates there throughout the race?
No, I never felt any pressure, to be honest. Everyone was kind of fine with the positions they had, except for Holmer maybe. But yeah, I had a good strategy because I saw them pulling away after 7-8 laps. Then I was you're thinking about manage tires, manage the fuel, get the lower stops in time compared to Alex behind me, so he didn't catch me because I know he's quick on a few laps, but for race stints, he's a bit inconsistent maybe. But that's him. I love him anyways.
Well, awesome stuff. You and Bright Esports, you come away with a third place finish, but you also lock out the rest of the top six. Is there anybody you guys want to thank for such a strong performance, and you especially for finishing third?
Yeah, for all in the team and all the sponsors. Yeah, all the guys actually in the team that making this so much fun and so like close racing between everyone. It's fun when we're all in the same area of lap times.
Absolutely, and you are definitely up there in terms of lap times, and we appreciate you joining us up in here, and congratulations once again on your third place finish.
Thank you, thank you.
That was our top three. That was our podium there, and I tell you what, three of the best guys to get it done here on a Thursday afternoon here in the States, maybe Thursday night there if you're watching in Europe. Phenomenal racing action all through and through. Jesper Eriksson comes away with a win. Michael Hafledassen and Daniel Blomqvist finishes in third to round out your podium.
Absolutely, as it was a great finish. We're glad to have you guys around, and also appreciate Svenska eRacingligan for having us on board with you guys. We love coming out here and butchering y'all's names, but overall, we do really enjoy the fans go home and watch this. If you watch the replay, we enjoy being able to bring this fun racing to your home. For Sim Racing Media, myself and Mr. Liam have hanging in here for Tony and the always awesome Frank Marchese. We appreciate you guys, and as always, we'll talk to you next week.